The Galactic Council had a problem. Captain Drell of the merchant vessel Windseeker stood before the assembled representatives, his forearms gesturing with agitation as he spoke. His blue-scaled skin glistened under the chamber lights. "I require another human crew member," Drell stated firmly. "Preferably two." The counselors exchanged concerned looks. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community, admitted just 30 standard cycles ago. While adaptable, they remained a source of both fascination and unease. "Captain Drell," began Counselor Tiv, her crystalline form catching the light. "Your request is unusual. Humans have proven difficult to integrate. Their psychological profiles are concerning, their behaviors unpredictable. Surely another Morvian or perhaps a Klaxus would serve your purposes better." "With respect, Counselor, I disagree," Drell replied. "My human, Jack, has been invaluable. When pirates attacked in the Noor sector, he was the reason we escaped. I need more of his kind." The council chamber filled with murmurs. Human resilience was well documented, along with their inexplicable tendency toward what many species considered self-destructive bravery. "Perhaps you could elaborate on this incident," requested Counselor Graz, his antennae twitching with curiosity. "We were ambushed," Drell explained. 3 Vextor raiders. They disabled our engines and began boarding procedures. My crew, all respected members of established spacefaring species, followed emergency protocols. We sealed bulkheads, prepared the escape pods, and activated distress beacons." "And the human?" asked Tiv. Jack asked for a wrench. Drell's upper arms mimicked an exasperated gesture. "While we were preparing for defeat or death, he crawled into a maintenance shaft. He reconfigured our damaged thrust modulators manually, under fire, using only basic tools, and what he called percussive maintenance. We escaped because he did something my engineers deemed impossible." The display screens activated, showing footage of a human male in a maintenance crawlspace, surrounded by sparking wires and leaking coolant. He appeared to be simultaneously rewiring circuits, bracing a fractured cooling pipe with his leg, and using a wrench to hammer a bent coupling back into place, all while the ship shuddered from weapons fire. "Most species would consider those conditions lethal," observed Counselor Nor, the insectoid's mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "The radiation alone. Humans are remarkably radiation-resistant compared to most sentients," interjected biological expert Lin. "Their cellular repair mechanisms evolved on a world with significant background radiation and a thin atmospheric shield." "That doesn't explain the behavioral component," Tiv countered. "Most sapients with appropriate survival instincts wouldn't attempt such a repair during active combat." Drell's secondary eyes blinked in agreement. "That's precisely why I need more humans, when faced with problems that my other crew members consider insurmountable. Humans see puzzles, challenges. Sometimes they even seem to enjoy dangerous situations." The council displayed another recording, this one from the Windseeker's bridge during the attack. While other crew members cowered at their stations, the human was grinning as he worked frantically, muttering something about showing these pirates a thing or two. "They're predators," whispered in aid to Counselor Tiv. "Their behavior patterns reflect their evolutionary history." "Yes," agreed Drell, whose hearing was exceptional. "And in space, that predatory instinct, that refusal to surrender, that ability to function under stress that would paralyze other species, these traits are invaluable." The council deliberated in hushed tones before Counselor Graz spoke again. "Captain, while we acknowledge your testimony, we remain concerned about widespread human integration into non-human crews. Their stress responses alone pose significant acclimation challenges. They laugh during emergencies," added another counselor. "It's disturbing." "With respect," countered Drell, "perhaps what we find disturbing is exactly what makes them essential companions in the void. The universe is not safe. Perhaps crews comprising only species with appropriate caution are at a disadvantage." Counselor Tiv sighed, a sound like wind through crystal. "We will consider your request, Captain. but I would advise caution. Humans may surprise you, and not always pleasantly. Drell's scales flushed a deep blue of conviction. That's precisely what I'm counting on, Counselor. 3 months after the council meeting, Jack was showing the Windseeker's newest crew members around the ship. Mira and Tom were fresh from Earth, their eyes still wide with the wonder of deep space travel. "This is the mess hall," Jack explained, gesturing to a chamber with oddly shaped furniture and food dispensers marked with various atmospheric symbols. The ship accommodates 17 different atmospheric and nutritional requirements, so don't touch anything marked with a red circle. Those are methane breathers. "What happens if we do?" asked Tom, eyeing a bubbling container. "Best case, digestive distress for weeks. Worst case, ship-wide evacuation while the filters clean explosive gases from the air supply." Tom quickly stepped away from the container. Across the mess hall, 3 Volrethi engineers stared at the humans with their compound eyes. The insectoid aliens chittered among themselves, their translator devices turned off to allow private conversation. "Don't mind them," Jack said quietly. "They're still getting used to us. The entire concept of walking straight into danger makes no evolutionary sense to most species." Mira frowned. "We don't walk straight into danger." "Tell that to Captain Drell," Jack chuckled. "Last week I climbed outside the ship during a radiation storm to fix a sensor array. The Volrethi couldn't believe it. Turns out their species evolved with extreme radiation sensitivity. They'd have died in seconds. But that's just necessary maintenance," Tom argued, "not recklessness. To them, there's no difference. Listen," Jack leaned closer, "there's something they don't tell you in orientation. Most galactic species evolved from prey animals or highly specialized ecological niches. Very few evolved from adaptable predators like humans." Their tour continued through engineering, where Kel, a gelatinous Morvan engineer, was supervising systems checks. His translucent body pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that the ship's translator rendered into speech. "The new humans," Kel's lights pulsed, as Jack explained the emergency protocols and the importance of not engaging in heroics. Jack grinned. "I was getting to that." "See that he does." Kel's colors shifted to a serious blue. The last incident nearly triggered a mass resignation. After Kel moved away, Tom raised an eyebrow. "What incident?" "Micrometeoroid punctured the hull near the quantum drive. Explosive decompression warning. Standard procedure is immediate evacuation of the affected section." "But you didn't evacuate," guessed Mira. "I needed to grab something first. Something important enough to risk your life." Tom asked. Jack shrugged. "Lim, he's our navigator, looks like a giant caterpillar, left his ancestral navigation stones in the affected compartment. They're irreplaceable, passed down for 15 generations. Without them, he refuses to plot courses through certain sectors. So you went back for rocks during a decompression event." Mira looked incredulous. "The ship needed its navigator at full capacity," Jack said matter-of-factly. "Made sense at the time." As they continued the tour, they passed various alien crew members, each regarding the humans with expressions ranging from curiosity to what appeared to be anxiety. "Here's the thing," Jack continued as they reached the observation deck. "We scare them. Humans are terrifying to most galactic species because we do things like rush into decompressing compartments or stick our hands into radiation-flooded access panels. Outside the vast viewport, stars streamed by in the distorted patterns of FTL travel. The ship hummed with the comfortable rhythm of functioning systems." But Jack added, watching the newcomers' fascinated expressions as they stared into the void, "That's also why they want us here. Because when everything goes sideways, most species freeze or follow protocols. Even when those protocols mean accepting defeat, humans improvise. We fight. We refuse to accept no-win scenarios." "Is that what the captain told you?" asked Tom. "No," Jack smiled. "The captain told me humans are the only species he's ever met who see an antimatter containment breach and think, I bet I can fix that with duct tape and a positive attitude. Mira laughed, then noticed the serious expression on Jack's face. Wait, she said. You're not joking, are you? The duct tape story. That was my second week aboard. The call to battle stations blared through the Windseeker at 300 ship time. Jack, Mira, and Tom were jolted from sleep in their shared quarters, specially outfitted with Earth normal gravity and atmosphere. Emergency protocol initiated, announced the ship's AI in multiple languages. Unknown vessel approaching with weapons powered. All crew to emergency stations. The humans dressed quickly, moving with practiced efficiency that belied the fact that two of them had been aboard less than a month. As they raced through the corridors, they passed various alien crew members moving at their own speeds, some floating, some crawling, others using mechanical assistance. Captain Drell was already on the bridge, his 4 arms manipulating different control interfaces simultaneously. His scales had taken on an ashen hue that Jack recognized as stress. Status report, Jack requested, sliding into his station. Unidentified vessel, Drell replied tersely. Not responding to hails. Profile matches no known configuration in our database. On the main view screen, a bizarre ship approached, asymmetrical, with odd protrusions and what appeared to be biological components integrated into its metallic hull. Biological mechanical hybrid vessel, observed Lim, the caterpillar-like navigator. Most concerning indeed. His many legs rippled with anxiety as he clutched his ancestral stones. Defensive systems, asked Tom, who had been assigned to security. Online but inadequate, replied Krell, the tactical officer whose chitinous exoskeleton clicked nervously. Our scans indicate technology beyond our comprehension. Recommend immediate retreat. Engines are only at 70% capacity, warned Mira from the engineering console. The antimatter injectors are still calibrating after yesterday's maintenance. The alien vessel suddenly accelerated, closing the distance at an alarming rate. They're launching something, reported Krell. Multiple objects on intercept course. Evasive maneuvers, ordered Captain Drell. The ship lurched as it attempted to change course, but the pursuing objects adjusted their trajectory with impossible precision. They're going to hit us in 10 seconds, announced Krell, his voice rising to a high-pitched whine of distress. Jack studied the trajectory display, then turned to the captain. Those aren't weapons. They're boarding craft. As if confirming his assessment, the objects attached themselves to the Windseeker's hull with metallic thuds that reverberated through the ship. Alarms blared as hull integrity sensors registered multiple breaches. Intruder alert, announced the AI. Unknown entities detected in cargo bay 3, engineering section 2, and life support hub. The non-human crew members displayed various signs of distress. Lim curled into a protective ball around his navigation stones. 2 junior officers with gas-bag-like anatomies deflated slightly in what Jack recognized as their species' fear response. Security teams to breach points, ordered Drell, though his voice wavered. Like most merchant vessels, the Windseeker wasn't equipped for serious combat. Their security measures were designed to handle pirates looking for quick profit, not unknown entities conducting a coordinated assault. I'll coordinate defense, Tom volunteered, moving toward the weapons locker. I'll help secure engineering, added Mira. We can't let them take control of the propulsion systems. Both humans moved with decisive purpose while the alien crew hesitated, caught between their instinctual responses and their training. Jack, Captain Drell addressed his senior human crew member. Our priority must be understanding their intentions and capabilities. Jack nodded, already accessing the ship's internal sensor grid. We need to capture one, if possible. Learn what we're dealing with. Before Drell could respond, the bridge doors slid open to reveal the intruders. They were roughly humanoid but clearly artificial, their bodies composed of shifting metallic components with occasional glimpses of organic material beneath. Their faceplates contain no visible sensory organs, just smooth, reflective surfaces. Every non-human crew member on the bridge froze in instinctual terror. Even Captain Drell's secondary arms went limp with shock. Only Jack stepped forward, placing himself between the unknown entities and the captain. "This vessel is under Galactic Council protection," he stated firmly. "Identify yourselves and state your purpose." The lead entity tilted its head in what seemed like curiosity. When it spoke, the sound was a discordant blend of mechanical and organic tones. "We seek the adaptable ones," it said, "the predator species that does not know fear." "Well, you found us," Jack replied, maintaining eye contact with the faceless intruder. "3 humans, right here on this ship. Now, how about you stop punching holes in our hull?" Behind him, Captain Drell made a strangled sound that the translator didn't bother to interpret. The other bridge crew remained motionless, their various biological fear responses in full effect. The mechanical entity seemed to consider Jack's words, its head tilting at an unnatural angle. "You do not flee. You do not cower." "Fascinating." "Look," Jack continued, calculating possibilities. "Whatever you want, we can discuss it without destroying this ship and everyone on it. That's how civilized species behave." Through his earpiece, Jack could hear reports from Tom and Mira. Similar mechanical beings had cornered crew members throughout the ship, but seemed more interested in observation than harm. "So far, your species is anomalous," stated the entity. "You evolved on a death world yet developed spacefaring technology. You are fragile yet fearless, primitive yet ingenious." "We get that a lot," Jack said dryly. "But you still haven't told us who you are, or what you want." The entity's surface rippled, plates shifting to reveal glimpses of organic tissue beneath. "We are the collectors. We preserve unique biological adaptations before they are lost to evolutionary pressures or extinction events." Captain Drell finally found his voice. "You collect species. We collect genetic material, behavioral patterns, neural structures," corrected the entity. "We have cataloged 18,742 sapient species across this galaxy alone. But humans," it focused its featureless face on Jack again, "humans present a unique anomaly." Through his earpiece, Jack heard Mira's voice. "Jack, they've deployed some kind of scanning technology in engineering. They're taking readings from all biological crew members, but seem particularly interested in me." Similar reports came from Tom at other locations where humans were present. "Let me guess," Jack said, putting pieces together. "You've been watching us since we joined the galactic community. You're puzzled by why a physically unimpressive species from an unremarkable solar system is in such high demand on starships." "Your assessment is accurate," confirmed the collector. "Most species specialize: physical strength, sensory capabilities, intellectual capacity. Humans appear mediocre in all categories yet demonstrate exceptional adaptive behaviors. You function effectively in emergency situations that paralyze more advanced species." Jack nodded slowly. "And you want to? What? Take samples. Study us. We wish to understand the neural mechanisms behind human stress responses. Your species experiences fear yet channels it productively. This trait is unique among known sentients." Captain Drell had recovered enough to join the conversation. "These humans are under my protection and Galactic Council law. You cannot simply take them for study." The collector turned its featureless face toward Drell. "We do not require physical possession. Observational data is sufficient. However, we must complete our analysis." As if on cue, alarms blared throughout the ship. Krell frantically worked his console. "Captain, they've introduced something into our life support systems. Atmospheric composition is changing shipwide. Emergency protocols," ordered Drell. "All crew to environmental suits." But Jack noted something strange. The atmosphere was changing, but the ship's sensors indicated the new composition wasn't immediately lethal to any species aboard. Instead, it appeared calibrated to induce stress responses without causing permanent harm. "They're studying how we react under pressure," Jack realized aloud. This is their test. Throughout the ship, the non-human crew members were succumbing to their instinctual responses. The Volrathi engineers had entered a defensive hibernation state. Lim had cocooned himself entirely. Even Captain Drell's scales were fluttering in an involuntary stress pattern. Only the humans remained fully functional. "Jack," Mira's voice came through his earpiece. "I think I can purge this compound from the air system, but I need someone at the secondary control junction on Deck 4. "I'm on my way," responded Tom immediately. Jack turned back to the collector. "You've made your point. We handle stress differently. Now reverse what you've done to our life support before someone gets hurt." "The demonstration is not complete," stated the entity. "True adaptive capacity emerges only when survival is genuinely threatened." The ship suddenly lurched violently, throwing everyone off balance. "What now?" demanded Jack. Krell, fighting through his species' fear response, checked his console. "They disabled our stabilizers. We're drifting into the gravity well of the nearby gas giant." The collector remained impassive. "Now we will observe how humans prioritize under true existential threat." The Windseeker shuddered as the gas giant's gravity pulled at its hull. Warning lights bathed the bridge in crimson as systems began failing throughout the ship. "Hull integrity at 78% and falling," reported Krell, his chitinous limbs trembling. "Atmospheric pressure increasing in outer sections." Jack turned to face the collector, anger replacing caution. "End this now. You want to observe humans under stress. Fine, but you're endangering an entire ship of innocent beings who've done nothing to deserve this." "Your concern for other species is noted," replied the collector, its metallic surface shifting in what might have been interest. "Most predator species prioritize self-preservation." "Jack," Mira's voice came through the comm, strained but determined. "Tom and I have bypassed the contaminated life support systems. We've got clean air flowing to critical sections, but the stabilizers are completely offline. We can't break free from the gravitational pull." Captain Drell had managed to overcome his biological fear response enough to function, though his scales still fluttered erratically. "All hands, prepare for emergency protocols." "Evacuation procedures." "No," interrupted Jack. "Evacuation pods would be pulled into the planet just like we are. We need another solution." He turned to Lim, who remained curled protectively around his navigation stones. "Lim, I need you. Can you calculate a slingshot trajectory using the planet's gravity to accelerate us out of its pull?" The caterpillar-like navigator uncurled slightly, his many eyes blinking rapidly. "Without stabilizers. Impossible. Cannot maintain course precision through gravitational distortion." "We don't need precision," Jack insisted. "We just need enough momentum to break free. Once we're clear, we can correct our course." Through the view screen, the swirling clouds of the gas giant loomed larger. The ship groaned as its structure strained against forces it wasn't designed to withstand. "Engineering to bridge," Tom's voice crackled through the comm. "We can reroute power from life support to the engines for one massive burst, but it'll leave us on emergency reserves afterward." "Do it," ordered Jack, then looked to Captain Drell for confirmation. The captain nodded, his forearms working controls with renewed purpose. "Prepare for emergency thrust on my mark." Throughout the ship, the human crew members coordinated efforts while most of the alien crew struggled against their instinctual responses. In engineering, Mira worked alongside two Morgian engineers who had partially recovered from their initial fear. Tom had organized a damage control team of the few species still functioning under stress. The collector stood motionless, observing everything. "Your species acts as catalysts," it noted. "You enable other species to override their biological imperatives." "We call it leadership," Jack replied tersely, helping Lim unfurl enough to access his navigation console. "Something you might consider instead of endangering ships for your research." The navigator's appendages trembled as he placed his ancestral stones in specific patterns on his console. "Course, calculating, will not be precise. Many variables. Precise isn't necessary," Jack assured him. Just get us moving in the right direction. Engine reconfiguration complete, reported Mira. We've got one shot at this. The antimatter injectors can't sustain emergency power levels for more than 30 seconds. Captain Drell took a deep breath, his scales gradually settling into a more normal pattern. All crew, brace for maximum acceleration. Secure all loose objects and prepare for potential structural failure. The collector suddenly moved, stepping closer to Jack. This approach has a 17% probability of success. The more logical choice would be to abandon ship and preserve as many lives as possible. Maybe for you, Jack countered. Humans don't accept 17% as good enough. We improve the odds. He turned to the navigation station, where Lynn was still struggling. Without hesitation, Jack placed his hand on the navigator's quivering appendage, steadying it. You can do this, Lynn, just like we practiced in the training simulations. Something in the human's touch or words seemed to break through the navigator's fear. Lim's body straightened slightly, his ancestral stones clicking into new formations as he worked. Course plotted, he announced, his translator conveying a tremulous but determined tone. Engineering ready, confirmed Tom. Structural reinforcements in place, added Mira. Captain Drell looked at Jack, then at the collector, before giving the command. Execute emergency thrust now. The ship lurched violently as the engines fired with everything they had. The bridge crew was thrown against restraints or consoles. Warning alarms screamed as the hull strained beyond design tolerances. Through the view screen, they watched as the gas giant's swirling surface filled their view completely, then began to slide away as the ship curved around its upper atmosphere, using the planet's gravity to slingshot away. It's working, exclaimed Krell, his fear momentarily forgotten in amazement. For 30 seconds, the Windseeker rode the knife edge between escape and destruction. Panels exploded in showers of sparks. Support beams groaned, but the ship held together, accelerating along Lim's calculated trajectory until, with a final shudder, it broke free of the gas giant's gravitational pull. In the sudden silence that followed, the crew looked to the collector, who stood motionless, its featureless face somehow conveying contemplation. Observation complete, it finally stated. Human adaptive capacity confirmed. The aftermath of their narrow escape left the Windseeker limping through space on emergency power. Repair crews worked around the clock to address critical systems while the ship drifted at safe distance from the gas giant. In Captain Drell's private meeting room, Jack, Tom, Mira, and the captain faced the collector. The mechanical entity's surface had reconfigured into a less threatening form, its sharp edges rounded and its height reduced to match the humans. Your testing methods are unacceptable, Captain Drell stated, his scales now a steady blue of controlled anger. You endangered my entire crew and nearly destroyed my ship. Yet the outcome validates our hypothesis, replied the collector, unperturbed. Humans function as catalytic elements in multi-species crews. Their presence significantly increases survival probability during crisis scenarios. Jack crossed his arms. You could have just asked the Galactic Council for their research. They've been studying human integration for decades. Observational data is insufficient. We required direct testing under genuine threat conditions. Mira leaned forward, exhaustion evident in her posture but determination in her eyes. So what happens now? You've gotten your data. Are you planning to leave us stranded here? The collector's surface rippled in what they had come to recognize as its version of consideration. That was not our intention. Repairs to your vessel are underway. Tom blinked in surprise. What do you mean, underway? As if in answer, the ship's AI announced. Attention all crew. Unknown technology detected in multiple ship systems. Repair protocols of unidentified origin are restoring damaged components at accelerated rates. Captain Drell activated the room's display screen, showing engineering sections where the collector's technology was rebuilding damaged systems, repairing hull breaches, and restoring power conduits. You're helping us? Jack asked. Suspicious. We caused the damage in pursuit of knowledge, stated the collector. Repairing it is logical. Additionally, the data gathered is more valuable than anticipated. A compensatory exchange is appropriate. Captain Drell's secondary eyes blinked rapidly, his species' expression of confusion. I don't understand. What makes humans so valuable to your research? The collector approached the display screen, its metallic fingers extending to manipulate the images. New data appeared. Comparative brain scans of various species under stress conditions. Observe, it instructed. When faced with imminent danger, most sapient species experience neural patterns that inhibit complex thought. Fear responses override higher functions. This is evolutionarily advantageous for individual survival, but limits problem-solving capability. The display shifted to show human brain scans. Human neurochemistry is different. Fear triggers heightened awareness and accelerated neural processing. Stress hormones enhance rather than inhibit cognitive function within certain parameters. Adrenaline. Mira realized. It's basically a performance-enhancing drug our bodies produce naturally. Precisely, confirmed the collector. Most predator species evolved rapid physiological responses for hunting or combat. Only humans developed a system that enhances cognitive function during stress. This explains your species' disproportionate value in emergency situations. Tom shook his head. That doesn't justify what you did. You could have killed everyone aboard. Risk was calculated. Had ship destruction become imminent, we would have intervened. Jack wasn't convinced. So you say now. But you forced us into a life-threatening situation to satisfy your curiosity. The collector's form shifted again, components rearranging into an even less threatening configuration. We recognize our methods may appear harsh by your standards. In recompense, we offer information. What kind of information? Asked Captain Drell cautiously. Your Galactic Council underestimates human potential, stated the collector. They restrict human integration based on flawed assumptions about psychological compatibility. Our data indicates the opposite. Human presence significantly increases survival probabilities for all species during crisis scenarios. The display changed to show statistical models predicting outcomes of various emergency scenarios with and without human crew members. This is remarkable, Captain Drell admitted, his scientific training overcoming his lingering anger. According to these models, even a single human crew member increases survival probability by 37% in critical situations. Correct, confirmed the collector. The effect is not merely physiological but psychological. Human confidence under stress conditions prevents neural shutdown in companion species, enabling them to overcome instinctual fear responses. As they studied the data, the ship's AI announced, critical systems restored to 85% functionality. Estimated time to full power restoration, 3 hours. The collector stepped back. Our exchange is complete. We will depart and share our findings with our collective. Wait, Jack said, a thought occurring to him. You said you've cataloged thousands of species. Have you encountered others like us? Other predator species that retained problem-solving abilities under stress? For the first time, the collector seemed hesitant. 3 species with similar characteristics have been identified in our database. All are extinct. A chill settled over the room. Extinct, echoed Mira. Why? They destroyed themselves through internal conflict, stated the collector matter-of-factly. The same neural adaptations that enable crisis response can lead to escalating warfare technologies. The capacity to function under extreme stress enables the creation of increasingly destructive weapons. Tom frowned. You're saying we're doomed to self-destruct? Not necessarily, the collector replied. Humans display one significant deviation from the extinction pattern, your integration with non-predator species. This may provide sufficient counterbalance to your more destructive tendencies. The entity moved toward the door. We will continue to observe your species' development with interest. Your path is not predetermined. As the collector prepared to leave, Captain Drell asked one final question. Why tell us this? Why help us understand? The entity paused. Because unlike the others, humans ask why. You seek understanding before action. This, too, is anomalous, and potentially your salvation. With that, the collector departed, leaving the humans and their captain to contemplate the implications of what they had learned. 6 months after the encounter with the collectors, the Windseeker approached the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Galactic Council. The ship bore subtle but significant modifications, hybrid technology that melded the collector's advanced repair systems with conventional engineering. In the observation lounge, Jack stood beside Captain Drell, watching as the enormous wheel-shaped station grew larger in the viewport. The captain's scales had taken on a deep green hue of satisfaction. The council won't be pleased about the modifications, Jack noted. The council will adapt, replied Drell with newfound confidence. Just as we all must. The past 6 months had transformed the Windseeker and its crew. After the collectors departed, Captain Drell had made a controversial decision. Rather than reporting the encounter in full, he had classified certain aspects of the interaction while implementing changes based on what they'd learned. The ship now operated with modified protocols that acknowledged and utilized the unique stress responses of different species. Training simulations specifically designed to help non-human crew members function alongside humans during emergencies had shown remarkable results. Bridge to Captain, came Tom's voice over the comm. Council Harbor Master requesting docking protocols and purpose of visit. Inform them we are here for the Special Committee on Interspecies Crew Integration. Drell responded, and that we bring new research data of significant importance. Jack smiled slightly. They're not expecting that data to challenge decades of established policy, which is precisely why it must be presented. Drell's 4 arms made a gesture of absolute certainty. The Council has been wrong about humans from the beginning. They saw your predatory instincts as a liability to be managed. They failed to recognize that those same instincts, properly channeled, represent the greatest asset in crisis management that the galactic community has ever encountered. The ship began its docking procedures, the subtle hum of the engines changing pitch as they maneuvered toward their assigned berth. Mira joined them in the observation lounge, carrying data tablets. Final reports ready, Captain. Our simulations show a 64% improvement in emergency response times when crews are trained using the new protocols. And the psychological assessments? Asked Drell. Even more promising. Mira replied. Non-human crew members show significantly reduced fear responses when they've been trained to work alongside humans during emergencies. It's as if our confidence is contagious. Jack had spent months analyzing the data left by the collectors, working with the ship's diverse crew to develop new approaches to integrated operations. What had emerged was a revolutionary understanding of how different evolutionary paths created both challenges and opportunities. The Council believes human unpredictability is dangerous, Jack mused, watching as the massive docking clamps engaged with their ship. They never considered that unpredictability is exactly what's needed when facing the unknown. The ship shuddered slightly as it locked into position. Through the viewport, they could see Council representatives already gathering in the reception area. Their diverse physiologies representing dozens of species. They're sending quite the welcoming committee, observed Mira. Word has spread, Drell confirmed. Our encounter with the collectors didn't remain as confidential as the Council might have preferred. Many captains are now requesting human crew members specifically. Tom's voice came over the comm once more. Captain, Counselor Tibb has personally requested to be part of the receiving delegation. Jack raised an eyebrow. The same Counselor Tibb who said humans were too unpredictable to integrate safely. The very same, confirmed Drell, his scales rippling with what Jack had learned was his species' version of amusement. I believe she is particularly interested in meeting the 3 humans who not only survived an encounter with the legendary collectors, but apparently impressed them enough to receive technological gifts. As they prepared to disembark, Lim slithered into the observation lounge, his ancestral navigation stones clicking gently in their ceremonial pouch. The navigator had undergone perhaps the most profound transformation of all the non-human crew. Once paralyzed by fear during emergencies, he now served as an instructor for other members of his species, teaching them techniques for functioning alongside humans under stress. "I have completed the new navigational protocols," Lim announced, his translator conveying a confidence that would have been unimaginable 6 months earlier. "They incorporate human intuitive leaps with our traditional precision calculations." "Excellent," Drell commended. "Include them in our presentation to the Council." As the airlock cycled and the boarding ramp extended, Jack found himself reflecting on the strange journey that had brought them to this moment. Humans had gone from being curiosities, tolerated for their occasional usefulness, but fundamentally mistrusted, to being recognized as essential companions in the void. "Ready?" asked Captain Drell, his forearms adjusting his formal attire. Jack nodded, ready to change the galaxy's understanding of humans. As they proceeded down the ramp, they were met by Counselor Tiv, her crystalline form catching the light. Behind her stood representatives from 24 spacefaring species, many watching the humans with new expressions, not fear or unease, but curiosity and respect. Captain Drell greeted Tiv, her voice chiming like crystal, and the human crew who survived the collectors. "The Council is most eager to hear your report." "Counselor," Drell replied formally, "what we have to share goes beyond a simple encounter report. We bring a new paradigm for understanding interspecies cooperation." Tiv's crystalline facets shifted slightly, her species equivalent of raised eyebrows. "Bold claims, Captain. Supported by irrefutable data," countered Drell. "The humans you once deemed too unpredictable to integrate safely. They are precisely what our galactic community needs most." As they walked through the grand corridors of the station toward the council chambers, Jack exchanged glances with Mira and Tom. They had come far from that first nervous tour of the Windseeker. They had faced death together and emerged stronger. Most importantly, they had proven that what made humans different, what made them terrifying to many species, was also what made them invaluable. "Humans," mused Counselor Tiv, falling into step beside Jack. "Still such a mystery to us. Tell me honestly, were you afraid when faced with the collectors? When death seemed imminent?" Jack considered her question carefully before answering. "Yes, Counselor. We felt fear. But humans don't define fear as the absence of courage. We see it as the price of courage." "A curious perspective," she noted. "Perhaps," Jack agreed, "but an effective one. Fear keeps us sharp, makes us plan better, react faster. And most importantly, it reminds us what we're fighting to protect." As they approached the Grand Council chamber doors, Jack saw something he never expected. A small group of captains from various species waiting at the entrance, each wearing the insignia of independent vessels. They were coming to hear the testimony. Yes, but they were also coming to recruit. The galaxy had finally recognized what Captain Drell had known from the start. Humans weren't just crew members. They were catalysts, enablers, the spark that allowed other species to overcome their limitations. They were terrifying companions, yes, but they were exactly the companions the stars required. The doors swung open, and together, human and alien alike, they stepped into the future.